Good day, and it is a good day. I got to my shed and I knew there was going to be something here, but there's an enormous uchikikuri there, another squash, and then these I think are berries from, they look very festive, but I think they're berries from asparagus that somebody said they were going to drop into my shed. So not only have I got asparagus seeds looking very festive, or fruits actually, these are fruits of asparagus, but you don't eat them. Of course in the fruits are lots of seeds, but I've also got 2 squash as well. Yum yum. Welcome to this week's A Week at the Plot on a Thursday. This is the first segment. Oh, I've got my glasses on. This week has just sort of gone by, and actually I've had a desk week. I haven't even been anywhere. Well, we went to IKEA this morning, but I haven't been down to the Great Green Barn or for Resited this week, and it's still Thursday, and this is the first day that I've been able to get down here. And even though the days have been quite grey of late, they have been relatively good for doing work down here. And of course I come down here this afternoon, and as I'm coming in the gate I feel the first specks of drizzle on me, and yeah, it's beginning to drizzle a little bit now. It's that, you know, that type of mizzle drizzle that really isn't great. But I needed to come down because I needed to bring peelings down to put in the compost bin, and also a fellow plotter here asked me to help them, and they wanted some vermiculite. So they don't do internet or anything like that, and she doesn't have a car now to get to a garden centre. So she asked me whether I would buy some vermiculite online for her, and a friend of hers emailed me the link of what my fellow plotter here wanted to buy. So I just went online onto Amazon. It was an Amazon link, and I bought it. It arrived the other day, and what she wanted, I think, was a couple of kilos of vermiculite. No, a couple of litres, 10 litres of vermiculite. What arrived, and I've checked the link, was 100 litres of vermiculite. So she did say that we would share it, but I think she was thinking of sharing 10 litres. Oh, there's swans going over. And I was just saying last week that I hadn't seen swans. I don't know if you can hear the beat of their wings, but you know, it's amazing. Anyway, yes, I think we were going to share 10 litres, which would have been rather handy, rather than sharing 100 litres, which is what we now have. I have to say, comparatively in terms of cost, the 100 litres is much, much, much cheaper per litre than the 10 litres was. And it is what she wanted to spend as well. She said to me, it's X amount of money, so would you do this for me? I'll get my friend to send you a link. But hey ho, you know, so I brought that down. I have let her know, and yeah, she got her friend to double check the link. And sure enough, it's 100 litres. So I think we might be, each of us might be being you know, dealers in vermiculite over the coming horticultural year. I do like sowing with vermiculite and compost because it obviously lightens the growing medium that you're sowing in. So I quite like that, particularly obviously for indoors. You know, anything that then gets potted out from being in modules or whatever, the vermiculite goes into your soil and will lighten your soil, which is always a good thing, or it's always a good thing, I think, in the UK at least, where we have decent to clay soil. So yeah, it doesn't do any harm whatsoever. Anyway, yeah, but when the driver turned up the other day, it was a couple of days ago, it with this enormous bag. I went, are you sure that's for me? Because I thought we haven't ordered anything like that. But yeah, it was. So there we are. What have I done? I have taken out the poppies from the bed here where we're going to be sowing carrots and parsnips in the new year. I've taken out the poppies there from relatively decent loose soil, which that is. So the soil in our raised beds is really pretty light, including the one behind me. I mean on the other side of the plot. So I've then put that into the bed underneath the apple tree, which is going to be just a sort of amalgam of different wildflowers and other flowers that I've put in there. That is pretty light soil as well. So I think I'm hoping that the poppies, which have quite a taproot already, will transplant quite well from the loose soil here into the into the loose soil over there. So yeah, this drizzle is really not particularly pleasant. I'm not sure if it's coming up on camera, but it's not pleasant. Let me do something else. You may remember that I was given this Cannon Hall grapevine a few weeks ago, and as you can most probably see, most of the leaves have dried and fallen off, and it's now in a state of dormancy. So I've been thinking about putting it on for some time, well, for a couple of weeks, and what I'm going to do now is pot it on into this larger pot here. So you can see it's slightly larger. It's most probably, I don't know, almost double the volume. And what I'm going to ensure is that when I plant it or repot it into this one, that I repot it at the same level. So the top of the level of soil in this pot will be the top of the level of soil in that pot there. So I'm just going to get on and do that. I'm sitting on a chair at the moment. If I move the chair out, then, or could I do it on the bench? Let's see if I can do it on the bench. We're doing it down here as the grapevine is so tall. I can't do it on the bench because it hits the glass. So I can see if I put that pot in there, I want this level to be up to about here, the level here, to be at this rim. So I think if I put in about 3 inches of compost into the base here. Use your fingers to sort of prong it down firmly, but not solidly. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, I think that's almost there, maybe just a little bit more. Right, and I know this lifts out because I lifted it out before. Let's see if it would lift out. Not sure if you can, there's a root there that I'm going to make sure that goes down when I do it, but yeah, that's about, if I take the top off there, yeah, that's about almost level, just slightly shallow of that. Let's put a little bit more underneath, pronging it down. Yeah, happy with that. And then I'm just going to fill up around. When you're filling up, repotting like this and filling up the compost around the edge, go in with your fingers and firm it down, but go around. Don't just do one side and then come over and do the other side, because by putting it in like this all the way around, you're going to hopefully keep your plant as much in the centre as possible, which is where you want it to be, because then all of the roots have got an even chance of sort of rooting well. They've got sort of decent space. If you have it too much to one side, there's no room for roots one side and too much room for roots the other side. And also, don't pot it on into too large a pot. Just going up one or two pot sizes. 2 is usually absolutely plenty. I think I've just got the right amount of compost. Right, firm it right around. Yeah, where's our level? Our level of is there. I think once I give this good water, we'll be at about the same level as we were before. So happy with that. I'd just come back a bit. Hopefully you can see that that's pretty straight in there. And I'm just going to give it a little water and then pop it back in the corner here, where it will be quite happy for the winter. Another little job done. You may remember I put this path in last week, and I put this line down to try and keep it as straight as possible. I think I've done a pretty good job. Maybe the back end of that one needs to come over a little bit. But stupidly, rookie error, I didn't take my line out. So I'm going to do that now, because if I leave that in, the line's just going to stay wet and it's going to rot. And you know, the wood pegs will take a long time to rot, and I know that the twine does break naturally because it's natural twine, you know, it doesn't last forever, but we do want it to last as much as possible. So yeah, I'm just going to take that out now, and instead of winding it up, I'm just going to pop it into the greenhouse, and then it can dry out hopefully when we get some sun. Well, that's a couple of jobs done, or on the way to being done, despite it being rather miserly drizzly out there. I can't believe I left that twine, my line out there. I think when I did that, it was sort of getting quite dark, and again it was getting a bit wet, so I just forgot it, and I haven't been down here enough since I did that to actually look at the plot. You know, it's really interesting. Oh, hello Magpie. Hello Mr. Magpie. It's really interesting when you know, you can come down on a regular basis and look at your plot, but actually it's only when you really look at your plot and you concentrate on looking at your plot that you notice things, or you're concentrating on doing something else, and out of the corner of your eye you see something and you think, oh, why haven't I done that? Like, why didn't I take that line up and dry it off? But anyway, yes, you know, as I say, it's natural twine. It does break, and when it does break, you just sort of tie it together and you have a little knot in there. I got those at Wilko. I've got 2 of them, 2 sets, and I got them at Wilko about, I would say, about between 6 and 8 years ago. And they really have been so good, and they were end of season buys as well at Wilko, and I think they were £1 each, something like that, you know, so I did really well. Yeah, anyway, that is it for today. I'm going to carry on doing the bed just behind me. I'm going to be covering that in cardboard this week, because I don't want to get seeds. I mean, there will be seeds on there anyway at this time of year, but I want to cover it in cardboard so that any other seeds that are blowing about in the winter don't blow onto the compost, they blow onto the cardboard. As it is, when we put cardboard down over winter, much of it you know, decomposes over the winter anyway, but at least it will keep any sort of big seeds that come down off. Oh, there's Big Ginge over there. Oh, it's a bit one of those sort of itty bitty a week at the plot segments today. But anyway, I'm glad to have got here, and I'm glad to have done a little bit of work, even if it's not a significant amount of work. But you know what? I'm glad to have potted on that grape, and I'm glad to have got most of the poppies moved from the bed behind me to the bed by the apple tree. So yeah, that's a bonus. And of course, a big bonus is a large uchiki curry squash, a lovely other squash, and those wonderful red asparagus berries from a fellow plotter. Very grateful for that. See you, will it be very soon? I don't know. I've got an event at the Great Green Barn on Sunday, so I hope to see you before. I hope this isn't the first and the last segment of this week's A Week at the Plot. Fingers crossed it's not. See you soon, I hope. Bye. Good day. I have come down here to get some fresh air. Basically, it's Friday afternoon, and I've decided to do this Schlumbergera cutting. This is one that fell off a Schlumbergera Christmas cactus I bought at Lidl a week ago. So it's had time for the end here where it broke off to callus over to dry off. And it's best to do that because because they're a succulent, they can have a propensity to rot. I know a couple of our subscribers have said that they've had good success with putting these directly into water or directly into compost, and that's fabulous. When I've tried to do that in the past, they have rotted away. So I find the best way to do it, and the most successful way of doing it in my book, is to make sure that this dries up, this wound here dries up. And what I'm going to do is put it into a little pot, just a little pot. You could put quite a few cuttings, maybe 5 cuttings in here, but I'm just going to put one in because I only have one at the moment. It's not really an ideal time to do cuttings of Schlumbergera in the UK at the moment. May is sort of a better time to do it, so we'll most probably do some more in May. But as this one had fallen off, I thought, you know, nothing ventured, nothing gained, and nothing lost if it doesn't work either. From the I've got compost in here. This is actually succulent compost that we already had, mixed with some of that vermiculite. That's the white stuff. Some of the vermiculite that we got the other day that we were sharing in that what turned out to be a 100-litre bag rather than a 10-litre bag. So yeah, I'm just going to fill that up. Oh look, that was a pretty good amount. And then let's go over to the table. It's very, very easy, and let's hope that it works. Just tamping down that a little bit. Take our cutting. I'm just going to hop it in about 1 centimetre, something like that, and firm it down. I've got some more in here. Let's put some that side, some that side, and then let's just firm that. Yeah, so that's in about 1 centimetre, 2 centimetres, about halfway up the leaf. And I'm going to take this home, give it a few drops of water, give it a couple of drops of water every few days. Just make sure that it's on the drier side of moist. I don't want it to get too wet. And it's going to go on a windowsill, most probably our kitchen windowsill, which gets some sunlight, though not a lot of heat at this time of year. And then we'll see how it works in the coming weeks, maybe a few months. Hopefully we'll see some growth from the top up here, one of these leaves in the coming month, fingers crossed. And if we see it rotting off, then what I will do is I'll take the rotten leaf, which will be likely be the bottom leaf, and I'll just stick these two back in and see how we go. But yeah, let's hope that we get some growth as this is at the moment. Yes, fingers crossed on that cutting, and we'll do some more, as I say, around sort of April, May time of next year. The ones that I got at Lidl were outside in the cold, and when I brought them home I put them into our coldest room of the house, and actually the flower buds have started opening, and I've moved them into the kitchen, which is slightly warmer than the dining room, which for us is the coldest room in the house. But the important thing about Christmas cactus and Schlumbergeras is they don't like sort of big temperature changes or big sunlight changes. So they don't like going from being relatively dark to really bright sunshine, or from relative cold to quite a bit of warmth. A lot of people say that once they brought Schlumbergeras home, despite having flowers on the leaves, the flowers have fallen off. They haven't opened and given us their glory. That very often is because the plant has seen a drastic change in its circumstances. As I say, from cold to pretty warm, from pretty dark to really bright sunshine, or potentially from being relatively dry to too wet. And they just go, you know what, no, it's not good for flowering, so we're not going to flower. And then they just let the flower buds that have formed die and fall off. So yeah, when you buy a Schlumbergera, try to keep it in the, especially if it's got flowers on it, keep it in the same type of conditions that it was where you bought it. Anyway, that's it for today. It's just a quick one, or I think quite a quick one. I think it's mostly still gone on for 5 minutes or so. I will likely see you at home maybe tomorrow doing something, because Sunday is a busy day for me because of the event at the Great Green Barn. So I think I'll see you Sunday, maybe just for a little chat at home. See you then. Bye. Good day. It's Saturday morning, and yes, I'm wearing sunglasses at the moment. The sun is actually behind a cloud, but facing this direction it's still quite bright, so forgive me for wearing sunglasses. But the sun is out, the sky is blue. I mean, it's when the sun is out, it's absolutely glorious. After that grey cloud that we've had for what feels like at least a fortnight, maybe it's not, but it feels like a long time, to have some sunshine, a day of sunshine, or even a few hours of sunshine, is something which is rather lovely. I came down here to do two things. I thought I'd check on the broad beans. No sign of germination yet, which is a bit disappointing. That's about 3 weeks from sowing now, and I would really be expecting them to come through. Maybe the ground is colder than I had imagined that it would be. But I haven't uncovered all of the tunnels, but I've uncovered the beginning, maybe 3 sections of one side of the bed and 3 sections of the other side of the bed, which is a different variety. and I can't see any germination. I can see some weeds, so in a moment I will get in there and weed that. I'm going to put these back on, apologies. Oh, look at that sky. Look at that sky. I can't show you the sky because the sun's coming out now. I also wanted to harvest some beetroot, which I have done here. This one's been a bit munched, so I've got 3 beetroot there. I think that's a golden one, and these are 2 Dichioggias. I did try and do the harvest on camera, but I actually pressed the wrong. I pressed record at the wrong bit, so you've just got me setting up the shot, because of course when you do these things you've got to set up a shot. So I've done a rather wobbly setting up of the shot, recording it, and then I forgot to press record when I was actually doing the harvest. But yeah, there's 3 beetroot there which I have got. And the other thing I was coming down for was to bring more cardboard down, because we've had cereal packets, med boxes, loo roll, various Amazon deliveries, things like that. And I'm just going to sit here while the sun is out and tear those up and pop them into the compost bin. Because as I've said before, you need lots of compost, so you need lots of cardboard, which is browns in terms of cardboard. Greens is live stuff, your weeds, your grass cuttings, all of those things. And browns is sort of dead stuff, branches, twigs, dried grasses with no seeds on, cardboard, paper. You need plenty of that in a compost bin. So you need to get the mix right, because if you don't have enough browns, you'll end up, or could end up, with just a slurry of compost and not have decent compost. It will still be nutritional, and that nutrition will run into the beds, where if you have decent compost which is a bit crumbly, or even if it's got bigger bits in it, you put that on top of a bed, the nutrients will run into your bed, but everything will also break down as well and give you a better soil, a better medium for growing in. So yeah, do remember to keep your cardboard. And if you tear a bit of cardboard and you see there's a plastic film on that, do not compost that, because some cardboards that we get, they have a laminate on the outside of them, and that you do not want to put into your bin, because you don't want to put plastic into your bin. But yeah, that's about it. I'm just going to pootle around here now, doing a few things, weeding those beds. I've got a busy day at Resited tomorrow because we've got an event at the Great Green Barn. So I'm just going to pootle around here for an hour or so, doing a little bit of tidying and maybe a bit of planning. Gosh, that bed over there needs weeding. The one by the path of the greenhouse, it really needs sorting out and covering. And this is another thing. I was talking to Richard the other day. I always say to you, cover your beds in cardboard. It stops weed seeds getting onto the soil and germinating. I think that's all great, and I'm still going to do it, but I do wonder, does it increase is it basically a wonderful protective layer for slugs and snails to hibernate underneath? I do wonder that, because the more I seem to be growing here and growing in a sort of no-dig way and using cardboard and putting that down, the more slugs and snails, or slugs in particular, I think we're beginning to get. And I'm wondering whether they're just harbouring that layer of cardboard is allowing the ground temperature underneath to be a little bit more, so that the eggs of snails and particularly slugs are not being frozen and dying off over the colder winter months. I do wonder about that. I really do. Yeah, pondering. I mean, I know no dig is really the way to go. It makes so much sense, but like with anything, I think the way that there are pros and cons to doing different ways of growing and different ways of gardening and different ways of doing anything. And I just wonder whether that is it has a propensity to increase slugs and snails. I don't know. It seems to make sense that it's a harbour, it's a safe harbour, not metaphorically, not literally, for slugs and snails over winter. Yeah. Anyway, tell me what you think. Does putting cardboard down make sense? I think it does, but I think we need to live with the consequences. That is what I'm saying. And how do we live with those consequences? Is it beer traps? I'm sort of thinking beer or yeast traps is the way to go for next year. Because, of course, in the past growing year, we've lost so much from being eaten. All of our squash, all of our cucumbers, all of our courgettes. The plants were decent enough when they went in. They could have been a little bit better, but they were decent enough when they went in. But boy, did the slugs and snails just plough them down. However many we planted, when we had the gate sale, I put more in and they were eaten. It just seemed to be one thing after another. And yeah, slugs and snails in the past growing year has been the big issue for me. And certainly I think that's why we've been down 90% in harvests. Anyway, I'm waffling, aren't I? I'm waffling and rambling and doing all of those things. And I'm going to shut up now and say whatever is happening in your garden, your growing space, or your allotment, I hope you're pondering different ways of doing things, or whether the ways that you are and have done things, maybe they could be changed a little bit, or maybe the way that you're doing things has just year on year worked really well for you. For me, things have worked really well, but last year, boy, that was a challenging year. Oh, and there's Big Ginge. Hello, Big Ginge. Big Ginge drinking from the watering can. Right, I'm going to say goodbye, and I will see you on Planet Vegetaria through next week for further segments of A Week at the Plot, or on YouTube in another week's time when there'll be another full upload of A Week at the Plot. See you soon, and happy growing. Bye. You're coming for a cuddle, are you? Are you? Oh, you are. Oh, you're lovely. Oh, you're lovely.